Like I said, I came out into the world like, weaker than most, but doing pretty good. They never really knew why, like, my vocal cords were paralyzed. They knew one of my nerves didn't develop, and they knew nothing else about it. Like, no one said why it happened. There's one theory my mom told me very casually recently. She dropped it into conversation, as moms are great at. She was like, hey, just a heads up, you might be cursed. And look, I've heard that from other people before, but when it's from your mom, it carries weight with it. So I was like, okay, go on. So it turns out when my mom was pregnant with me, she worked in a huge law office, and there were 10 other women in that building who were pregnant at the same time. And everyone had a baby around the same time, so tough office to be in if you don't like onesie decorating. Every single baby came out fucked up. All of them. People would go around to the offices to be like, hey, how's your baby doing? And everyone would have to be like, completely fucked up, totally fucked up, totally fucked up. How's your baby? Also totally fucked up. And I looked into it. Turns out the building was built on like some actual burial ground they were not supposed to build like a law office on. It was called Wolf Point, and my dad told me that it was where a bunch of wolves would gather to howl at the moon. And I don't know how he knew that, but he said it very confidently. So I guess that's what happened. So everyone came out fucked up. I don't know how the other babies are doing. I've tried to find out. I assume they also do stand up. And that's where their lives led them to. But it's all right. I don't know what their things were. Mine, I actually had like a trach tube for the first 7 years. If you guys don't know what a trach is, it's kind of what smokers get, the little thing to let you breathe. Because I was a very cool baby. Just came out in a leather jacket, born to live. Pretty good. I was actually one of the first kids in Chicago who was supposed to go to a special school, who went to, and I'm using very problematic language because it was like 1991. I was supposed to go to a special school, and instead they sent a batch of us to regular school, and they were like, listen, kids, we're going to see how this goes for you. Get out there. I was in the newspaper for being one of the first kids. The article was called Handle with Care. You know what? I've made that request from a lot of people throughout my life now, too. And the whole thing, they interviewed the teachers, they interviewed the principals, they interviewed everybody involved, and everyone agreed they didn't want me there. Everyone was like, we have enough shit to deal with. We can't, like, sit here and resuscitate this child if something goes wrong. This was a mistake. And then they would quote me, and they would do these little dot ellipses every time I talked. It would be like, I, ... love, ... school, ... Surrounded by quotes from all of my educators. We don't want her here. It was... They also were really happy. They were hopeful and happy that the other kids didn't seem to be bullying me that much. They were like, wow, it seems like they really accept her as one of their own, and that's really good. And I want to go back and have them print a retraction that did not continue throughout my life. But it was because of my personality, not because of, this. But but they were very supportive. They're like, kids get it. They get more than you think they do. They get it. They get everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Some people are really good at soccer. And some people breathe regular. I have a lot of friends trying to get Botox, and that's great. I support it, but I don't care about Botox. I want a lobotomy. I think that would be... I should have started getting it in my 20s as a preventative measure. I don't even care if people could tell. It'd be fine. I'm thinking about it because I am working on mental health stuff. I have a lot of miscellaneous things, probably because of the wolves. But that they don't make an SSRI for wolves. So I have OCD, and I don't know the answer to this. Does anyone else here have OCD? Everybody has it. That would be incredible. Do you actually have OCD?
A sliding scale of lots of things.
Sliding scale of lots of things. Okay. I'm going to share this anecdote, and then I'll ask you again if you have. Yeah, okay. All right. So a lot of people think OCD makes you very clean and put together. For me, OCD shows up as a little voice in my head that comes up when I go to do things that says, if you do this, you might die. And it's just anytime I do anything at all. It's frustrating and distracting, but there's a silver lining. My OCD taught me how to deep throat. So that's a thing you all know about me now, but I wanted to put it in here, so let's go on a journey. Okay, so the first time I was ever with my college boyfriend, it was the first time I was ever doing that for anyone, and I was down there thinking what we all think when we're down there. Wow, I'm so nice. What a generous girl I am. I could be anywhere else. And it's really, I'm amazing. And so I keep going, and then the little thought comes up, and it says, if you don't shove that thing to the back of your throat, you're gonna die. So I did what any one of us would do. I tried to save my own life. Now, that was back in college, so fast forward now to however long you guys think it's been since college. And unfortunately, mentally unhinged practice makes mentally unhinged perfect. And this is not a brag because I'm bad at other stuff, but I am pretty good at that. Now anytime I'm with a guy and he's like, good job, I like to tell him, you have no idea the hell I've crawled through to get here. And it's made for really fun pillow talk. They love it. It's really good. And I don't know, I like to share it now, because even though that's a pretty intense thing for everyone who knows me to know, I do think it can help reduce the stigma of mental illness. I think this is step one. This is step one. And you know what? Was it worth it? No, it wasn't. I would way rather give a very toothy blowjob than deal with this shit. If I never have to take another pill for my life, I'll bite it off. I'll pick someone up. I don't care. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't think people with mental illness should be the ones in charge mostly of getting their own mental health care. All of my ideas for what might make me feel better are kind of stupid. A friend asked me recently, well, what do you think would help, Sandy? What would help you? And I'm like, I think staring at the stove for 4 hours to make sure it's off will make me feel better. That's what's gonna help the most. And they were like, maybe an SSRI. I'm like, no, this is this. The thing I know would actually help is getting a very specific OCD therapist. I have a weird thing where I don't cook at all because that little voice comes up anytime I try to like go to make soup, and it's like, hey, are you sure that carrot's probably poisoned? It's distracting and exhausting, so I just avoid the whole thing. The treatment for this is called exposure therapy, where you sit with a mental health professional who sits with you and helps you face your fear because they know how your brain works. They're like, no, we just got to do it. I know you're getting the signals. It's a different thing. We'll do it. And they know, and they're professional. They know what they're doing. They're also, understandably, very expensive. But I was ready to tackle this. I was like, no, I got to start cooking. I'm ready to do it. So I looked at the $150 a session exposure therapy, and I went, you know what will help me? If I sign up for an intro to cooking class at the YMCA. And I'm just going to kind of hope that everyone in the class is really understanding. And that's exactly what I did. I showed up to the class day one. Everyone's ready to learn to bake a chicken. I am ready to face my demons. We're on extremely different pages, but we're going to do it. I thought I'd fly under the radar a little better than I did. They figured it out really fast. They were like, she doesn't get what's happening here. They actually all had a meeting about me between classes 1 and 2. I came into class 2. They're like, Sandy, we've been talking, and you seem to have a lot of alarming questions about the process. And it wasn't a 2-session class. It was like a several-session class, and I kept going. And here's the thing. I still don't cook. I haven't gotten exposure therapy, but I'm still going to the cooking classes, and I will keep going to the cooking classes because every time there's a fun little date night or something like that, I'm going to go, and I'm going to have a fucking panic attack. If you are in a cooking session and you're trying to learn how to scramble a wonderful egg, I'm going to come up behind you and I'd be like, oh my God, are you sure they're not poisoned? Because if I have to live with this, everybody else has to live with this too. I will ruin everything. And again, this is how we're going to get actual mental health care. This is everybody's problem.